everyone. Very nice to see you guys here. Without further ado, I'm just going to give the time for Ross, who is on our big screen here, to give his sharing. In the later bits of his sharing, we're going to have an open session for Q&A. So come prepared with questions, either through the Mentimeter or we can pass you the mics for you to ask those questions. And without further ado, Ross, I'll give it to you for you to share and start your opening.
Thanks, Fangling. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Perfect. Let me just share my screen with you. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Great. Let's get going. So I'm Ross. I'm the Senior Campaign Manager for RE100, as Fangling said. That's Climate Group's Renewable Electricity Initiative. I'm going to talk through how, as an initiative, we're transforming corporate renewable commitments into on-the-ground action through policy change. I'll start by explaining Climate Group, RE100's parent organisation. We're a climate NGO with a goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2050 with greater prosperity for all. We do this by forming powerful networks of business and government, focusing on systems with the highest emissions and the greatest opportunity to drive change. These include energy, transport, industry and food. We're also the Secretariat for the Under 2 Coalition, the largest network of states and regions globally committed to reach net zero by 2050. By unlocking the power of collective action, we're helping to shift global markets and policies towards faster reductions in carbon emissions. So what do we seek to do? We seek to work at scale. So we power large networks and hold each organisation accountable. We work at speed. So we focus on action now, not action tomorrow. And we work through collaboration. So we know who needs to work together, to get things done. So how do we do this? We work on ambition and accountability. So we report annually on progress towards climate commitments to keep businesses and governments on track and insights and challenge others to speed up. We work through engagement. So we drive engagement and dialogue between business, government, other stakeholders to address the barriers to action. We facilitate peer learning and best practice sharing between business and governments, connecting decision makers and essential information. And finally, we use actions and collective voice of our large networks to influence and shift markets and policies towards faster reductions in carbon emissions. These are all of our programs. Together we can drive climate action fast. Our global network of over 500 businesses and governments are working to maximise impact as a collective and deliver a just transition to a net zero future. We have corporate programs across energy, transport, industry and food, and work alongside our Under 2 initiative with state and regional governments like Scotland and California. As well as our programs, we run a series of events during the year. Our flagship event is Climate Week NYC, which is run in coordination with the UN General Assembly every year in September in New York. As well, we also run the US Climate Action Summit in Washington, DC, and the Climate Group Asia Action Summit that takes place here in Singapore. Climate Group is 20 years old this year, and here's a few numbers of our collective impact so far. So we've got 400 members already driving enough renewable electricity demand to power a medium-sized country. We've got over 120 members across more than 100 markets who have committed to transition their fleets to EVs by 2030. That's over 5.6 million vehicles. CO2 emissions have been reduced by more than 380 million metric tons thanks to energy efficiency measures taken by over 120 of our members, and our members have committed to phasing out more than 90,000 trucks before 2040. I'm now going to go into RE100 in more detail, and I'm going to start with a video if it works for you. This is normally shown to as they look to join RE100.
RE100 is a global campaign through which multinational companies like yours commit to sourcing 100% of their electricity from renewable sources. Several hundred companies have already joined RE100, including some of the most influential businesses across the world, from IT and retail to manufacturing and heavy industry. These companies are already taking action towards their 100% targets. Businesses have an essential role to play in helping drive the energy transition and minimise climate change. Your decisions send a crucial signal to government and policymakers to accelerate the transition to renewables and move towards net zero.
Being part of the RE100 initiative, we can get the global insights on renewable electricity necessary to push our activities forward.
By joining RE100, your voice is amplified alongside hundreds of our other members, calling on governments and regulators to reduce the barriers to entry for renewables. We present a win-win message to policymakers and businesses that low-cost renewable electricity makes business sense as well as environmental sense. Our message is being heard by policymakers across the world, and RE100 is now a byword for renewable energy in the Asia-Pacific markets, especially Japan and in South Korea, where a number of laws are named after RE100. Joining RE100 is also good for your brand, providing credibility and transparency to your commitment through annual reporting, which ensures that all members are held to a common standard. Our members are also given the opportunity to learn from one another, to improve efficiencies, foster collaboration, and gain local market insight as we strive towards our common goal. So why not join RE100 to start your own journey to 100% renewable electricity and play your part in driving lasting change?
So RE100 is a network of over 430 corporates, all committed to powering their global operations with 100% renewable electricity before 2050. We're a demand signal campaign aggregating the demand of the world's largest corporates, all needing renewable electricity. We use this demand signal to then engage governments to seek policy change to make more renewables available, more accessible, and more affordable. So our mission as an initiative is to accelerate change towards zero carbon electricity grids globally by 2040. We do this by mobilising corporates to influence policymakers in order to address market barriers and enable corporates to procure renewables. Our short-term objective is to reach the tipping point of good corporate RE sourcing options available in 2/3 of key electricity consuming countries. RE100 also plays a critical role in establishing a set of technical criteria that corporates can observe when procuring renewable electricity and assessing corporate progress towards their RE100 targets through the annual disclosure process. So Climate Group partners with CDP, and they manage the reporting process, and they also look after the RE100 technical criteria. Without a global standard for renewable electricity sourcing globally, the RE100 technical criteria is viewed as such. So that makes it a really important document. So even corporates that aren't members of RE100 follow the guidance laid out within the RE100 technical criteria. This shows where RE100 currently has an active presence. So Climate Group has offices in London, Amsterdam, New York, Delhi, and Beijing. We also have an employee in Mexico City. RE100 also works with local partners in countries where we're looking to create policy change, and we have established relationships in Argentina, South Africa, Indonesia, Taiwan, Japan, and South Africa. RE100 was launched in 2014 at Climate Week New York, so we're celebrating our 10th birthday this year. On screen are some of the milestones we've achieved over that time. We began building out our work in the Asia Pacific in 2017 with our partnership in Japan. We formed relationships in 2018 with organisations in Taiwan and Australia, and South Korea in 2019. We started to get policy traction in Japan in 2020 and began our policy work in South Korea and India in 2021. By 2022, RE100 has become a byword for renewables in the Asia Pacific. We also set up platforms with partner organisations to bring buyers and suppliers together to stimulate renewables growth. We set up the Resource platform in Europe in 2017 on this model, which now hosts the largest matchmaking event for buyers and sellers of renewables in the world. In 2022, we similarly set up the Asia Clean Energy Coalition with partners, which we launched at COP and hope to emulate similar success here in Asia. As of this year, we've launched RE100 alongside our partner organisations in both Argentina with CADER and Indonesia with IESR. So, who are our corporate members? We now have over 430 of them who are sustainability leaders and are among the largest corporates in the world. You can see some of them here on screen. Even this small sample gives you an idea of the diversity of sectors that we have in our membership, from consumer goods, breweries, apparel, technology, manufacturing, auto manufacturers, and cement. This map shows the operations of the 430 plus leading companies in the RE100 membership. As you can see, they have operations in almost every country in the world. This puts us in a strong position to create global change. These members consume over 555 terawatt hours per year of electricity and represent almost as much electricity demand as South Korea, which makes us about the 10th largest electricity consuming country in the world. As I explained, all of our members must report on their company progress towards their RE100 commitment every year. This is a really useful data set that we can use to inform our policy work globally. I'll quickly walk you through some of the headline trends and figures. The country data that our members provide help to inform which countries we need to target policy change and what we need to change. RE100 continues to see significant growth in electricity demand of its membership. As of the last annual disclosure report, RE100 was equivalent to 1.7% of global electricity demand. RE100 had 420 members at the time of the publication of the last report. As you can see from the red line of our members have made steady progress on the share of renewables that they source, which is now at 50%. You can also see that from 2021 to 2022 was our largest increase in consumption between years. This was primarily driven by a large increase in heavy consuming Asian companies. You can see the geographical breakdown here of the increase in RE100's consumption. You can see that the largest ever annual increase in our total electricity consumption between 2021 and 2022 was driven by new membership in Asia. The 10 largest electricity consumers joining the initiative since the 2022 RE100 annual report are headquartered in Asia, and the initiative's new largest electricity user is a Korean company. Here you can see the breakdown of our membership by industry or sector. The manufacturing industry continues to contribute the most new membership to RE100 and remains the largest industry represented in the initiative. You can also see the transport services are the sector with the largest share of renewable electricity. The market appendices were a new addition to the annual disclosure report this year, and we would encourage you to take a look at them in more detail, as it has some really interesting data points. They're towards the end of the report and cover 11 key markets. These markets were selected for either one, being RE100 companies having significant consumption there, 2, priority market for RE100 work, 3, a challenging market for our members to procure in, or 4, they showcase what's happening in more liberalised markets, so for example the EU and North America. The appendices provide an overview of each of these markets with key data points, including a number of RE100 members reporting operations, the RE% that they're reporting, types of procurement options. Additionally, they provide more contextual policy background, updates and progress. Within these, we also draw out some case studies that feature our members. Moving on from individual member progress on their targets, the real power of RE100 is its aggregation, so gathering our members to work together. The key focus of our work is our policy work, which focuses on creating policy change in the markets that our members find it most difficult to source renewable electricity at scale. RE100 has 6 global policy messages that we developed with our members. These are best practice policy requirements that we know need to be in place for corporates to easily source renewables at reasonable cost. These are generic and have been developed so that they're transferable to any market and are the basis of RE100's policy work. When we decide to work on policy in a market, we form a working group of our members with operations there and start with these policy asks and contextualize them to the specific market, given the challenges that our members face there. We've developed market-specific policy recommendations for India, South Korea, and most recently, Japan. We're currently developing them for South Africa. Looking at our policy influencing process end to end, South Korea is the best case study of our work in action. We built a membership of 37 locally headquartered members alongside our global membership that's made us an influential voice for businesses needing easier access to renewables there. We've also partnered and collaborated with South Korean organisations, including our current partner COSIF, to drive our work forward. We worked with our members, as we did in Japan, to produce South Korean policy recommendations and have since seen government adopt parts or all of individual recommendations, or alternatively had made moves in the right direction, which is encouraging. To give you an idea of the policy influence that we now have there, we've had recent closed-door meetings with the South Korean Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, and the country has introduced RE100 laws to increase access to renewables. The South Korean government also changed regulations on green premiums this year in line with our South Korean policy messages. We were also contacted by the South Korean President's Office to understand more after the publication of our last annual disclosure report, which featured a market appendix on South Korea. We've had similar success in India. Power consumers in the Indian state of Maharashtra can now opt for 100% renewable electricity following a petition filed by Tata Power, directly acknowledging the role of RE100. We're currently building our policy recommendations with members in South Africa. We launched RE100 in August in Argentina at an event at the British Embassy alongside our local partner Kader, as well as Indonesia at the Indonesia Solar Summit alongside our partner IASR, where we're looking to create similar change. Most recently, we developed policy recommendations in Japan. Here you can see some photos of the process. We start by surveying our members on the challenges they face in the market and where we're looking to develop recommendations. We held 4 in-person sessions where we dug into the challenges that they face to gain a greater understanding. We also met with local stakeholders to get a complete 360 view of the problems that our members are facing. We then held a final meeting where all members were invited and we had 75 members attend to discuss the draft recommendations before they were finalised. The Japan policy recommendations were then published in June this year. We've also been working with our members to increase their ambition by moving their target years forward. This creates increased pressure on policymakers to bring about policy change faster to allow corporates to achieve their RE100 targets. So far, members have moved their target years forward by 228 years in total. 14 terawatt hours per year of electricity will switch to renewables faster than they would have otherwise. And 14 members we've asked to pursue more challenging target years when joining the RE100 initiative. Finally, from a more global perspective, it was fantastic to see countries sign up to the tripling renewables commitment at COP28 in Dubai. RE100 has a time to triple section on its website, looking at how we get there in more depth. So please visit that to understand more. We also released an insights report in September, which gathers insights from leading representatives in their field on the opportunities in the tripling of global renewable energy capacity, the areas and regions in most need, the essential role of business, the importance of targeted finance, and the role of international collaboration. I'll finish up by showing you what some of our members say about being part of the RE100 initiative.
DuPont joined RE100 because we wanted to be part of a global, internationally recognized gold standard for renewable electricity.
In 2021, we joined RE100 because we think that the renewable electricity is one of the most influential ways that we can reduce our carbon footprint.
Well, by joining forces with fellow RE100 members, including many of our clients and suppliers, we send a strong demand signal to markets and policymakers that renewables are the future of corporate energy sourcing.
We come to the platform for several reasons. First is to learn from others, from experts and from our peers at other organizations, to share our own knowledge and best practices in our journey to 100% renewable electricity. And then importantly, to leverage the platform to bring our supply chain along on the RE100 journey as well.
The RE100 initiative brings together like-minded companies to learn from each other, promote collaboration, and meet the challenges head-on.
We strive toward achieving our goals by investing in renewable energy, improving efficiency, and participating in RE100 Japan Policy Working Group.
We realized that we learned so much from our peers, from our industry, but also we were very glad to be able to share some of our learnings and best practices and hopefully inspire others as well.
Through RE100, we deepen our understanding of policies while enhancing on additionality and ethical procurement.
In some countries where we operate, renewable energy is not available or it's very, very pricey, especially in Asia. So we thought that, coming together with other companies that are and care about renewable energy could help shape that policy to make that renewable energy available for everyone.
Being part of a global standard allows us to anticipate the future regulation that will be deployed and purchase renewable energy that respects our ecosystem.
So working with RE100 will help us to unlock barriers and build more capacity on the grid.
Thank you. I'll now hand back to Fangling.